Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending upon where you're joining us from. My name is Brandon Savage. I am the head of solution enablement at Reducing AI. Welcome to our webinar today. We hold these webinars monthly, but oftentimes it's just our own employees talking about our product, and it's always great to have one of our customers join us for these webinars, and that's what you're in store for today. The title of our webinar today, as you can see, is Brinks Home, Explainable Artificial Intelligence for Reducing Attrition 2 times Faster. We'll get right into introduction so we can get into the meat of our webinar. As I said, my name is Brandon Savage. I've spent 20 plus years in customer experience and operations in the exact same industry that you'll hear from today. We were just reminiscing before the call about the first time that I visited their facility in Dallas, and it was well over 20 years ago when I met some of the people involved with this company, and it's been great to see as it's continued to grow. I'm going to turn the time over to each of our guests today to introduce themselves. So first, let me turn the time over to Veronica Maturi, who's the SVP of Customer Experience at Brinks Home. Veronica, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yes, thank you, Brandon. I'm Veronica. I am over all of our customer experience and retention strategies at Brinks Home Security. I've been in the industry for about 15 years, at Brinks for about 11 of those. And so I'm super excited. I've worked with Vosic for about 7 years now with Brinks. And so being able to kind of go over everything that we've done here today is super exciting. So thank you.
And our other panelist is one of my colleagues here at Vosic. Let me introduce Vishwanath Guba. Vish, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Brandon. Hey guys, I'm Vishwanath Guba. I've been in the analytics and the AI industry for the last 10 years, working on delivering AI solutions for companies like Brinks. And I'm super excited to be in this webinar where we are going to talk about all the success we've achieved in the last 7-8 years working with Brinks.
Terrific. Vish is our director of our AI Center of Excellence. Our solution, Vosic AI, helps recurring revenue, subscription-based businesses to be able to grow their company, to grow their recurring revenue using the power of artificial intelligence. And what differentiates our product, and what I hope you'll hear from today, is that we have a very unique platform. We have an amazing team of people, 80 plus employees in our company, that provide change management consulting for our customers. And as Veronica tells the story of Brinks and how they're using our solution, what I hope you'll see in the background is that we're able to help bring the data that companies have at their fingertips to be able to translate that to intelligence, and then take that intelligence and be able to operationalize it with your frontline people in order to generate company growth. So with that as a foundation, and the use cases that we apply to customer retention, to doing strategic price increases, to do second chance lead scoring, to do predictive referrals and upsells, to improve your customer experience metrics. With that as a foundation, I'm going to turn it over to our panelists today. Take it away.
Well, thank you. So like Brandon said, Vosic has been a part of our company for about 7 years. And when we started our partnership, it was really about being able to leverage data to take on what Brinks needed to service our customers better. So Brinks as a company is really it's a traditional home security company. It has evolved over the years, just like other competitors, to really turn into home automation. So it's not about just your parameter of your home anymore securing. It's really about the instant gratification that people are accustomed to these days of being able to see who's at their door, what their dog's doing, their kids came home, their husband's home, etc. And that's what Brinks is about. It's about simplifying the life of the day-to-day person by giving them not only intel that they can have at their fingertips to use, but the security of their home and the people that live there. So as Brinks started to evolve, right, it was really about how do we get back to the basics of improving our customer experience, improving our retention efforts, which again lowers the churn of the business, growing our revenue in strategic ways, right? Over COVID, inflation, price increases, it's not about just upping the cost. It's strategically doing it to tie that to the value of what the customer has in their home. And then everything comes together with reducing cost to serve. You want to drive your efficiencies. You want to only have that customer engage with you with a problem one time. You want to solve it the first time that you talk to them. So our company pillars are really about driving profitable accounts at scale and serving for life. So as Vosic came into our industry, right, we had tons of data, just like every company does. You know who your customers are, you know their contract life, you know if they're using their system, if they're in some sort of trouble state, how much they pay, et cetera. And data becomes pretty endless when it comes to what you can find out there today. What happens is, what do you actually do with it, right? Anybody can give you data, but doing something with that data is what really drives the results. And what I've always talked about with Vish and Vosic is, you dummy it down to the day-to-day person that doesn't live and breathe in data, and you make the data actionable for it to actually drive results that you're looking for. So if you almost think of it as this wheel, it's having all of this data at the top, and it's segmenting it down to actionable items that then really drive what you're looking for your customer outcome. So if you flip to the next, this is kind of where the before and after. So where we were before Vosic, we had data, we didn't talk to our customers, right? We had this mentality, I can't believe I'm saying this recorded, but we had the mentality of don't wake the sleeping dog. Well, that was like 10 years ago when text messaging, emails, outbound, you felt like if you left your customers alone, they would just call you when they needed you. But today there's so much marketing digitally and competitors, and you're not a proprietary product anymore. There's always someone out there that can compete with you. It's really about engaging with your customers and driving certain behaviors that you not only want to be known for, but you want to deliver to them. So before we started going into what is the explainable AI, we had to end up driving down segments. And your segments is where you take, again, all of the data from the top and simplify it. Operational leaders cannot deal with complexity. We're very black and white, we're process oriented. 1 + 1 = 2. Don't tell me that 0.5 plus 0.5 minus 1 plus 1 equals 1. You know what I mean? So it really goes into simplifying data, simplifying what you need to do with it, and putting it into cohorts of action. So this example here is, we have over 200 attributes that we have loaded into our model today with Vosic. And those attributes start to create micro segments for action. You don't want to treat all of your customers the same. You want to tailor offers to them that end up curing the problem or driving the KPI that you're looking to solve. And that's what Vosic has done. So if you look on the left-hand side, you'll see that you have out of contract, high trouble, 3G customers that need to go to 4G, customers with basic systems, not using it, et cetera. All of those on the left become your micro segments of what you need to do to have a tailored offer that fits their need. Then if you think about your capital as an organization, when you go to your finance team, right, they're not going to write you a blank check that you can just use to support this. You have to have the economics in place and the strategies to really drive the highest value based off of the data that you have. So you go beyond taking data and making it actionable, but then you end up putting that into segments that drive the highest value or drive the meaningful results. And that's where the red going into green comes into play. It's where it says, okay, these are your segments that you want. Now go after your highest impact customers if you're going to spend dollars. And so that becomes something that you get your finance teams, your operational teams, your marketing teams collectively on the same page to drive the results that you need. But it all kind of stems down to having the data to make it actionable. And that's really what Vosic has done for us.
And I'm going to briefly interrupt, if that's okay, Veronica,
just
to even simplify this further. Like in this particular industry, for decades, one of the high risk indicators was it was a low credit score customer.
Right.
And everyone knew that if you had a credit score customer below 600, there was a 30% chance they were going to cancel in the next year. And that's great from an operational perspective, but as operational leaders, we want to know, well, which 30%, because I don't want to just give offers to all my sub 600 credit customers. I want to know which ones. And that's what you're saying here, is that the rows are that 600 less customer, but we're able to identify the micro segment of this is a sub 600 customer who is high risk.
Exactly. And the micro segments are super important because it drives the tailored offering to that segment. What you don't want to do is give an offer that makes absolutely no sense. You're off the bat, you're losing the engagement with the customer. That's like, I don't need a camera. I need you to come out here and fix my system, right? And so you want to ensure that your data that you do have flips into actionable things that end up relating with the customer's problem per se, that then puts them back into a lower risk segment to lower your overall churn. But it's all about, again, taking that data and doing something with it. Now, if you think about having the data and being able to relate it down to operations, right? It's not giving them numbers. It's not giving them percentages. It's giving them actionable things that they can drive through the interaction with the customer. So on top of the data that we have and the machine learning and AI models that are created by Vosic, they also give a UI that's utilized for the business. And this UI takes certain attributes and data points and relative information, simplifies that to the common language of your employees, and then puts forth what they need to do on that call. So I've always considered this as, who is the customer? What do I need to do with them, right? And this is what this UI tells you. This is an example here of a customer having an advanced system, but they're not using it. So we've taken the data and put it into what we've deemed as health indicators. What's most important on every single customer that an employee needs to know when they're speaking with them? On the bottom right-hand corner, you could see I've got an advanced system customer. They're paying a little bit below the average of where they should be, but they're coming to the end of their contract. End of the contract customers really drive shopping around, thinking twice if they want to still be with you, evaluating their system, their product, the value of it. Low usage is another one. If you don't use a product, you lose it, right? Why am I paying for something monthly that I'm not using? So that's a very high indicator of potential churn or dissatisfaction. Low trouble, right? We want to pay for something that's working. And then, of course, where we had a lot of activity that was happening in the security industry of taking customers from an old 3G network and putting them up to 4G. So that alone just gives a quick, not only by color, but indicator that an employee can quickly pick up on as they're starting that phone call with the customer. It then goes into what are important things to talk about. So the left-hand side goes into customer since 2015, always thanking them for being a valued customer with your organization. Figuring out, when did they last call me, right? If someone called one day ago, well, this is their second call they're now having with you. It's the fourth one. Okay, you may have, potential irate customer that you've got to figure out how to solve their problem. Or if it's zero, right? This is your first engagement. Make it your best. Make sure that you deliver what's needed for that customer. The home image is neat, especially in the security industry, because through some of your interactions, you may want to sell certain products. And certain products don't work in certain homes. They don't work, at certain levels of your home. So being able to have a visual aid of that customer's home as you're talking to them really gives you information that you need to drive the best conversation with the outcome. And then the best part of this is you take away the thinking of the agent, of the employee. So what we used to do before Vosic UI is we had a parameter that was set, but we would make up whatever offer worked the best on the conversations that we had. Of course, it was always about lowering their rate. So if you're going to tell somebody you can lower their rate by $5, why wouldn't they say yes to that? But it wasn't the best economic play, because sometimes the cost of the monthly rate has nothing to do with the potential of them churning in the future. And so having that tailored offer, going back to the data, putting it into something that becomes actionable, and then simplifying that for the agent and having the recommended offers that fit within your economic parameters, again, drives additional value, simplification, something that could be repetitive and usable in the future for other channels. So this is just an example of the low battery usage. We've got a couple other examples that you can see. Again, the visual is very simple. This is all customizable, so it's more of to what your team wants to see and how they want to see it. But it gets the employee that's having that phone call able to see important things and do something with it on that unique customer. So it's all unique to the specific customer that you're talking to, and everything tailors to what you need to do on that outcome.
And I'll interject here just briefly in that what you see here is very specific, not only to the electronic security industry, but to Brink's Home and the data that they have and the services they offer. I know that we have individuals on the webinar that represent other industries, and our solution is personalized to not only your industry, but to your company. What you see here is a private deployment of our solution on Brink's private cloud. We do private deployments for all our other customers that then can be personalized to meet their needs.
Okay, so where we are today. Today, we have taken our predictive model, and our predictive model, I didn't really explain it. It's taking the attributes and being able to make scoring on our customer base of who I should go after first to potentially fix their problem to reduce the impact of cancels down the line. So we are on year 3 of having a constant proactive retention strategy. And now it's just part of our business as usual. We've done so many extensions over the past years. We're averaging 50,000 extensions per year. We're almost a third of our base we have put back into an extension. It's huge when it comes to not only elongating the customer lifetime value, but reducing the churn and then tailoring what they need to make them satisfied and be a stickier customer. So it's $100+ million of customer lifetime value. I know that's a huge number. When you look at it, it's like, yeah, right. But I mean, keeping a customer, I've always made this joke, it's cheaper to keep her than go buy new. It's really true. I mean, you want to put forth the effort with your existing base the same way that you are out there trying to acquire new customers. And it's really been able to show when it comes to our retention strategies. Okay, so all of that we went through was about data and then putting it into the hands of the agents. The best part is you can do this with any channel. And so the expansion that we're doing is an omni-channel approach of being able to take the data, be able to take the actions you want to do with it. A lot of it's offer-based, but some of the actions can also be action-based. It could be that you just need to fix their system and send a technician out. You don't need to tailor that to certain offers. It's just fixing the problem by leveraging the data. It could be driving a referral. It could be driving an upsell. We are very tailored right now into driving extensions and getting customers back into contract. But we've got about 5 other models that we're going to put into play that start to drive other initiatives for the company. This is saying that you can then put it into the hands of your marketing team, your website team, your technician team, your teams out in the field. Again, they can all leverage the same output as putting into those segments and doing something with it. You're just putting it into the hands of new channels. And so this is just an example of multiple touch points by leveraging this data and then getting an uplift of our outcome by presenting it in these channels.
So as we recap now, I do want to invite anyone who's on the webinar, if you have specific questions about what you just heard from Veronica, feel free to post those into the Q&A section here on Zoom. I'll turn the time over to Vish for a recap.
Thank you, Brandon. I think I was just, thinking through all the things that we did, Veronica, as you talked through the before after, right? It's been fantastic to see, where Brinks is now using all the explainable AI and how it's making a lot of difference, right? But I was thinking, to do something like this at this scale, right? We are talking about 50,000 extensions a year, 1/3 of the base converted, $100 million in lifetime value. It's not easy to do something like this, right? A lot of things need to happen. No, we need to come up with business cases. We need to secure buy-in from executives. And I think the most important of all is a lot of teams need to come in together, right? There are disparate orgs, your IT org, BI org, let's say, the data science team, they all need to come together and you need to align them to their vision, to this vision, but they are also working on other things, right? This will essentially, lead to increase in the cost. We want to implement the solution today, but because of all the other things that are happening, this happens next year, right? So to solve all of this, what we came up with is the Vosic AI Center of Excellence, right? So this team comes with all the experience that is needed in one package, right? Data scientists, data engineer, analysts, IT, engineering, QA, everyone combined as one team with the experience of solving this for multiple other top subscription businesses, right? So this way we help implement the solution at a much faster pace and make sure it's successfully implemented.
So Veronica, can you describe what this looks like from your viewpoint of this partnership with Vosic, when you're working with Vish and other Vosic team members, the frequency? Describe a normal month at Brinks and when you're interacting and how you're interacting with the Vosic team.
Sure. Yeah, I've always considered Vosic, and primarily I work with Vish and his team, being an extension of my team at Brinks. So they have a seat at the table. They bring value to the discussion. What's great about when you think about trying to do this in-house versus leveraging Vosic, Vosic has a common goal and a common culture, way that they're speaking, way that they want to deliver results for their company, which when you bring that in-house and you try to hire multiple people, you're trying to create that culture on top of what their day job is. And so it's an added value to have this seat at the table that also has this group of people in the background that are working to deliver the results that you need. So, I mean, we have some topics require daily discussions, especially if you're launching something new, digging into issues, you want to touch on those frequently. We have quarterly business reviews. We meet in person quarterly. We have, monthly discussions and kind of monthly reviews to look over data, continue to drive new initiatives, understand the results. We make quick decisions with Vosic. So you fail fast, right? If something's not working, that's all right. You go on to the next one, but you continue to go back to what are you trying to solve? And then they bring the expertise, not only what they've done with other organizations that have worked within their product, but being able to drive solutions that they can support for you to where you don't have to, give that over to another employee that's in your operations. That becomes the bottleneck that you just can't keep up with it when you've got this full engine and team that's backing you up with Vosic.
Fantastic. We have a question online, and I'll kind of give a brief answer, and then either of you can expand on it. The question was, does Vosic pull the data from companies' ERP or CRM by integration? How do you integrate with proprietary CRM builds? So the high-level answer is that we can accept data from anywhere, and integration is probably not the best word. We do a daily export of that data. So as long as whatever system you're using can export that data out, that then goes into the private cloud, and we digest that data and use it. And so really it can come from any data source. And with new clients, we can come in, identify the areas of data that make the most sense to export, and have a solution like what you've seen here within 90 days is what our commitment is. Vish, Veronica, anything that either of you would add to that?
I'll let you take that one, Vish. You're on mute.
Sorry, yeah, I think we are very flexible on how to access the data. It could be through any channel, you put it on our SFTP or you send it through API. I think we are good with any of that arrangement.
And a common question or concern we have from prospects is, oh, well, our data is really dirty. We need to do some cleaning up. It's like, understand, everyone's data is dirty. The wonderful thing about artificial intelligence and machine learning models is that they're going to look at the overall trends, and having some incomplete data or dirty data does not impact the models as long as there's signal in that data. Any other questions from our attendees today? No, we've got about four or five more minutes scheduled. If you have a question, feel free to type it in. I've got one more slide where I'm going to wrap things up, but I can still come back to that question if you post it for any of you out there that have a question. A common question that we do have is, how does pricing work for our solution? And we break it up into two parts. We have our consulting fees. As you can see, we're very hands-on. We're, as Veronica described, an extension of the team. And so we have an annual charge for those consulting fees, the set amount. And then we have our software as a service fee that is based on per customer per year. And so those two things combined together. We usually do annual contracts, so you can give us a try for a year, and if you don't like what you're seeing after a year, you're welcome to cancel. We haven't had any customers ever do that. We find that every customer sees value in what we're doing, and our goal is to generate 5 to 10 times ROI on every dollar that you spend with us. And as you can see with Brink's results, they've experienced that return. So our kind of final slide here, unless there are any other questions, we're very thankful for all of you that joined today. There's been a lot of people that have expressed interest and have stuck with us for our half hour here. If you'd like to find out more about this, feel free to reach out to us. We've got your contact information. We'll probably be reaching out to you as well. We would love to have a one-on-one growth strategy workshop with you to talk about how our solution might fit into your industry and into your company. As a participant of this webinar, we will also offer to any individuals here today 50% off that SaaS fee for the first year to reduce that cost, to give us a try. I'm confident that our ability to be able to take the data that you have, to be able to turn it into intelligence, and then to be able to operationalize that on the front line can be extremely meaningful for companies. Attrition is something that we all recognize is important, but oftentimes it's not always the most urgent thing within a company, and it can be easy to kind of push aside as you're working on other initiatives. Partnering with Vosic allows you to be able to have a team that is focused on this day in and day out, that is literally extension of your team to be able to get these important things done. We had one other question come in asking if there's a way to revisit the recording. Each of you that has attended will get an email, I think in the next 24 to 48 hours, with a link to a recording of the webinar, and you're welcome to use that however you'd like. If you have questions and want to reach out to us directly, you can contact us at the email below, info@vosic.ai. We'd love to hear from you. Before we sign off, any last words from Vish or Veronica? If there's one last point that you'd like to make or reminder, what would that be for our audience today? Vish?
No, I think Veronica summarized it in an amazing way, right? So we are extensions of your team. We work as your partners in making sure this solution is successful.
Thank you. And Veronica?
I want to thank you for letting me join. I would just say what I've done before using new companies is tried to talk to people one-on-one that are currently utilizing the solution. So I am here if anyone wants to talk about more details on how we leverage Vosic. It's a great company, and it's a great team that really drive the results for your company. So
you can feel free to reach out to Veronica, directly on LinkedIn, or you can contact us, and we'll be happy to get you introduced to her at the email address that we shared previously. So thank you everyone for joining us today for our webinar, Explainable Artificial Intelligence for Reducing Attrition 2 times faster. Thank you, Vish, for joining us for the first time in one of our webinars, and Veronica, thank you so much as a trusted partner for being able to come and share the impact that Vosic has had on your business. Thank you for all you that have joined today, and we look forward to seeing you at our next webinar next month.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.